The Great Reversal. When gold becomes lead, let's talk about how to become the richest person in the wasteland when every bank is a graveyard and money is just a memory of a failed dream. The grid has been dark for 6 weeks. The gas stations are no longer businesses. They are tombs guarded by desperate, shivering people with firearms. Yesterday, your neighbor traded his gold Rolex, a piece of jewelry worth $20,000 in the old world, for a single, dented can of peaches. He thinks he got a fair deal. He didn't. He got ripped off. Because when civilization's life support finally flatlines, value doesn't disappear. It doesn't just vanish into the ether. It shapeshifts. It mutates into things you can hold in your hand, things you can use to stay warm, and things you can trade before the sun goes down. The guy sitting on a mountain of gold bars? He's currently starving, and he's realized too late that you can't eat a metal bar. But the guy with a cardboard box of Bic lighters? He's eating like a king. He's the new one. I'm not here to sell you a nightmare. I'm here to sell you the mechanics of reality. And the reality of a collapse is this: value inverts. Everything you ignored because it was cheap and common becomes priceless. Everything you worshipped because it was rare and expensive becomes worthless. If you want to own the future, you need to start thinking about wealth as practical utility. 1. Water purification. The fatal fountain first on the list: water purification tablets. You know what kills more people in a disaster than violence, radiation, or starvation? It's not the bullet. It's the bacteria. It's diarrhea. Brutal, agonizing, fatal dehydration caused by drinking from the wrong puddle. When the taps run dry and the pressure drops to 0, most people think they'll just boil water. Boiling works if you have the fuel, the time, and the security to sit over a fire for 20 minutes. Most people won't have any of those. Water purification tablets turn a jar of toxic sludge into hydration in 30 minutes. One tiny bottle can purify hundreds of liters. In the collapse of Venezuela, I saw people trade a week's worth of food for a single blister pack of purification tabs. You can survive 3 weeks without food. You get 3 days without water. If that water is contaminated with cholera or E. coli, you're done in 48 hours. I keep tablets in every bag, every drawer, every vehicle. They are pennies now. They are a fortune later. 2. The underground pharmacy. Fish meds second. Antibiotics. Picture this: you're clearing debris and you slice your hand on a rusty fence. In the old world, that's a minor annoyance. In the wasteland, it's a death sentence. The clinics are closed. The hospitals are overflowing war zones. The pharmacies were the first things looted. That cut gets red. It gets hot. The red streaks start climbing your arm. Sepsis. This is how humans died for thousands of years before Fleming found mold on his bread. And it's exactly how they'll die again. When the supply chain breaks, people will trade their cars, their jewelry, and their loyalty for a course of amoxicillin. Here is the Wasteland Billionaire secret: fish antibiotics. It's the same chemical compound, the same dosage, and currently it's available over the counter. Amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, doxycycline, they are marketed for fish tanks, but the labs that produce them often use the same pharmaceutical-grade ingredients as human meds. Stored cool and dark, they last years past their expiration date. If you have the ability to treat an infection, you aren't just a survivor, you are a walking pharmacy. You hold the power of life and death in a plastic bottle. 3. The hygiene gap. Dignity and infection third. Tampons and feminine hygiene products. This is the one that every tactical prepper ignores until it's too late. Half the population bleeds once a month. The biology of the human race doesn't pause because the power grid failed. When the store shelves are empty, women are forced to resort to rags. Rags require clean, boiled water to sanitize, water that is already a scarce resource. Without proper hygiene, you're looking at widespread, life-threatening infections. But tampons aren't just about hygiene. They are about dignity and health. Survival hack. Tampons are sterile, incredibly absorbent, and vacuum-sealed. Military medics have used them for decades to pack gunshot wounds when they ran out of traditional gauze. They are compact, they never expire, and they solve a problem that affects billions. You will be able to trade these for almost anything because when a person is in a health crisis, price doesn't exist. For white gold, the biology of salt. Fourth, salt. We treat salt as a commodity so common we throw it on frozen roads. But for 99% of human history, salt was currency. Wars were fought over it. The word salary comes from the Latin word for salt. Why? Because without it, you die. Your body needs sodium to function. If you're working hard in a wasteland, sweating out your electrolytes and not replacing them, you're going to experience muscle cramps, confusion, seizures, and eventually cardiac arrest. But beyond biology, salt is the original technology of preservation. Without refrigeration, how do you keep meat from rotting? You salt it. How do you keep fish or vegetables edible through the winter? You salt them. The person with salt controls the food supply. And in the wasteland, food is everything. Buy it in bulk now while it's practically free. It never expires. It disinfects wounds. Preserves life. 5. The universal fix. Duct tape. Fifth, duct tape. It's the universal problem solver. It's not elegant and it's rarely permanent, but it works fast. And in a collapse, speed beats perfection every single time. Broken window? Duct tape. Torn tent? Duct tape. Leaking water container? Makeshift bandage? Securing a splint? Patching a boot? Fixing a backpack? Duct tape. The military uses it. NASA uses it. It's waterproof, flexible, and strong. One roll solves 100 different problems that could otherwise end your life. But duct tape degrades over time. Don't buy one roll, buy 20. Store them in a cool, dark place. When manufacturing stops, the person who can fix things with a roll of silver tape becomes the neighborhood's most valuable engineer. 6. The flick of life. Bic lighters. Let's talk about number 6. Disposable Bic lighters. Fire is the ancient technology that separates us from the animals. It purifies our water, cooks our food, and provides a barrier against the killing cold. But we've forgotten how difficult fire is to create from scratch. Go ahead and try to start a fire with 2 sticks when you're wet, shivering, and exhausted. It is a humbling, brutal experience that usually ends in failure. A simple lighter is survival gold. A single Bic gives you 3,000 chances at fire. It works in the wind. It works in the rain. It requires 0 skill. Unlike matches that get damp or ferro rods that take hours of practice, a lighter just works. During the Bosnian War, a single lighter could be traded for a month's worth of food. I buy them by the 50-pack. I vacuum seal them. I stash them everywhere. 7. Paracord. The rope on steroids. Number 7. 550 paracord. This isn't just rope. It's a multi-tool made of nylon. Standard paracord holds 550 pounds, but the magic is inside the sheath. If you cut it open, you find 7 individual inner strands. Suddenly, you have high-strength fishing line, snare wire for trapping small game, sewing thread for repairing gear, or even dental floss to prevent mouth infections. The outer sheath can be used as a tourniquet, a shoelace, or a belt. You can weave it into nets to carry gear or build shelters. It's rot-resistant, waterproof, and lasts for decades. I wear 10 feet of it on my wrist as a bracelet because the only gear that matters is the gear you have on you when the sky falls. The 2 lifesaver. The manual can opener. Number 8. A manual can opener. Specifically, the P38 or P51 style. I know it sounds trivial. It sounds like a kitchen gadget. Until you're staring at 1,000 calories sealed in a metal can and your electric opener is a useless plastic brick. Trying to open a can with a survival knife is a great way to sever a tendon in your hand, leading back to that infection problem we talked about earlier. A manual opener costs $2. It weighs nothing. It never breaks. It is the single tool that stands between you and a pile of food you can't touch. Buy 5. Put one on your keychain, one in your bag, one in your car. 9. Improvised textiles. Contractor bags. Number 9. Heavy-duty contractor bags. These are the single most underrated survival tools on the planet. They are essentially rolls of waterproof, nearly indestructible fabric. When it's pouring rain and you're at risk of hypothermia, a contractor bag is an instant poncho. If the ground is soaked, it's your moisture barrier. If you find a spring, it's a 5-gallon water bladder. You can use them as a vapor barrier inside a sleeping bag to trap body heat, as an improvised latrine, or to create a solar still for drinking water. A box of 50 costs less than a pizza and solves 100 life-threatening problems. 10. The ultimate multiplier. Printed knowledge. Number 10. Knowledge. Here is what nobody thinks about in our digital age. Information is now a tethered resource. When the internet dies and your phone is a useless slab of glass and lithium, what do you actually know? Google is gone. YouTube tutorials are a memory. You need to print everything. Medical manuals, guides to edible and medicinal plants, instructions for water purification, first aid, knot tying and food preservation. Laminate it. Store it in a waterproof bag. Knowledge is the only wealth that weighs nothing and can't be stolen from your mind. In a total collapse, the person who knows how to do things becomes the most important person in the room. 11. The infinite loop. Heirloom seeds. Now, we move into the empire phase. Number 11. Heirloom seeds. Everything else on this list helps you survive. Seeds help you live. They are the bridge between scavenging the ruins of the old world and building a sustainable new one. But you can't just buy any seeds. You need heirloom, non-GMO, open-pollinated seeds. Why? Because these plants create viable seeds for the next generation. You plant them once, harvest your food, save the seeds, and plant again. It is an infinite loop of food production. GMO or hybrid seeds are often designed to be sterile or produce inferior second-generation plants. In a collapse, that is a death sentence. A single packet of tomato seeds weighing a few grams can produce hundreds of pounds of food over multiple seasons. That is a biological return on investment that no stock market can touch. In a barter economy, seeds are the perfect currency. Standardized, lightweight, and universally valuable. The person with seeds controls the future. You can trade seeds for labor, for protection, and for loyalty. You build a community around a garden. 12. Modern magic. Rechargeable power. Finally. Number 12. Rechargeable batteries and a solar charging system. Power is modern magic. It's light in the darkness and communication across distances. When the grid dies, every single outlet in the world becomes a decorative wall ornament. But if you have a high-quality solar panel and a set of NiMH, nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries, you have a functioning piece of the old world. You can power flashlights for security, radios for information, and medical devices like glucose meters. Think about power as a service. Someone needs their radio working to hear a broadcast? They bring you their dead batteries. You charge them with the sun and they trade you food or labor for that service. You aren't depleting your own resources, you're harvesting the sun. That is sustainable wealth. A working flashlight in total darkness is more than a tool. It's hope. And in a dark world, hope is the most expensive commodity there is. Conclusion: your move gold is pretty. It's shiny. It's been a symbol of wealth for thousands of years. But you can't drink it, you can't eat it, and you can't use it to stop a fever or start a fire. When systems collapse, value makes a hard shift toward practical utility. The items I've listed aren't exotic. They're common, they're boring, and right now they're incredibly cheap. The people who make it through a collapse aren't the ones who had the most money in the bank. They're the ones who saw the writing on the wall and quietly stocked up on the things that actually matter to a human being. The music is going to stop eventually. History shows us it always does. When it does, you'll either be the person trading a luxury watch for a single lighter, or you'll be the person with the box of lighters watching the Rolexes pile up on your table. Start thinking like the new one. Start now. Because when the lights go out, your net worth is only as good as what's in your bug-out bag. Your move.